What is going on, everybody? AHS Rules back again with another video, and we are here for another weekly ROH TV review, and this was a loaded episode, with the main event being a fight without honor. Now, while that is in the main event, we had a lot of matchups take place beforehand, and let me go through and tell you what happened in those matchups. The first one was Gringo Loco versus Rey Fénix. Now, on commentary, they mentioned that Claudio Castagnoli has a tag team title opportunity with any partner of his choosing. And I'm going to imagine that he has chose Wheeler Yuta to be his partner, because next week on Dynamite, for the Ring of Honor tag team titles, it will be the Lucha Bros versus Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. But they didn't say that match exactly, but they did announce it on AEW, so I did want to point that out. Anytime there's a ROH title or ROH related match announced, I always like to point it out. The matchup starts with chops and forearms from both men, but it is very fast paced as Fénix hits a springboard Hurricane Rana in the ring, and he hits a crossbody to the outside. Fénix then is able to hit several kicks and a frog splash for a 2 count. Fénix attempts to hit a cutter, but Gringo reverses it and hits his own cutter. Fénix is able to recover with a top rope Hurricane Rana. Now, I have a little sidebar here. I took note of this. This is something that has bothered me for a minute that I wanted to say something about. Gringo Loco hits a top rope spinning Gringo Destroyer. Now, this was a crazy ass move, I will admit. So he was on the top rope. He jumps down while spinning and then hits a Canadian Destroyer. Gringo Destroyer. The problem I don't have a problem with the move being done a lot. But the move was done, I'm 99% sure he invented the move. He 100% sure made the move famous. That man is Petey Williams. I definitely feel bad for him, because since he made the move famous, dozens and dozens of other competitors have used this maneuver, and a majority of the time the name of it changes, which obviously makes sense because not everybody is Canadian like he was. And even thinking of it like he'd be hypothetically destroying other Canadians, but that's besides the point. So they called it the Gringo Destroyer. Out of tribute, I'm going to always call the move the Canadian Destroyer, but I just wanted to point that out there. That was just a little sidebar. Back to the matchup. However, not back to the matchup, because the matchup ends once Fénix is able to hit a rolling cutter for the count of 3. Next matchup, Willow Nightingale versus Maddie Wrenkowski. Wrenkowski targets Willow's back for a majority of the matchups, including trapping her into the ring skirt and then pounding on her back. Don't take that out of context. Wrenkowski reverses a powerbomb into a facebuster. Willow recovers with a pounce! Period. And then wins the matchup with the sit-out powerbomb, which I believe they called the move the Babe with the powerbomb, which they've always called her that. Did not know that was her finishing name. They've definitely never said it as a finishing name. I've always called it the sit-out powerbomb. I'm not going to look that much into it, but Willow Nightingale wins the matchup. Next matchup, Pretty Peter Avalon and Ryan Nemeth, the Wingmen, versus the Iron Savages. Earlier in the show, the Wingmen cut a promo essentially saying that the Iron Savages' new gimmick, the new thing that they do, is that they work out. But guess what? Everybody freaking works out. It's kind of the point of the whole promo that was said. Bronson and Avalon start the match off. Even though Nemeth tags in quickly, the Iron Savages get the advantage by having him in their corner. Boulder attempts a moonsault, but Avalon moves out of the way. That does not matter, as the Iron Savages win with an assisted tower body slam onto both of the Wingmen. Next matchup, another tag team matchup. Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal versus Zach Clayton and Cole Carter. Daniels and Carter start the match off. Lots of double team moves by Sydal and Daniels, but soon Clayton and Cole keep Sydal in their corner. Sydal attempts a top rope move, but Carter pushes him into Clayton, who then hits a body slam. Daniels soon tags in, And Seidel does a dive to the outside while Daniels hits the best moonsault ever to win the matchup for his team. Next matchup, Lady Frost versus Miranda Alizé. Very aggressive early on from Alizé as they try to do the code of honor and then they shake hands, but Frost immediately headlocks her before the bell even rings, and that I'm guessing that is why Alizé was very aggressive early on. But that does not faze Frost as she hits a cartwheel cannonball and also hits a cartwheel back body drop and wins the match with a spinning moonsault, which they called the temperature drop. Next match. I'm reading this very slowly. I'll admit I'm very tired, but it was a very good show, so I'm not going to complain. But I have been reading this crap very slowly. Next matchup, Angelico and Serpentico, the Spanish Announce Project, versus Cheeseburger and Eli Islom. Cheeseburger and Serpentico start the match off, but that does not matter as the Spanish Announce Project get the advantage once they corner Cheeseburger. Eventually, he does get the tag off into Islom, who is not in the match very long. Luther, who is on the outside, distracts Cheeseburger, which leads to Angelico winning the matchup for his team after locking in a leg lock. Speaking of leg locks, we saw several attempts happen in this next matchup for the New Japan World TV Championship. Zack Sabre Jr., a man I've been waiting a long time to see back in Ring of Honor. He was on the very first episode on Honor Club. It's either first or second. 99% sure it's the first episode. And another man that was on that very first episode, definitely, AR Fox. So, this is a very intriguing and good matchup. And several times, I don't know what the TV time limit was. I believe it was 15 minutes. And several times during the matchup, we would hear Bobby Cruz saying how much time was remaining, which a lot of times when we think and hear that, we're like, oh, it's going to be a time limit draw. But spoiler alert, this matchup was not, but it was very close. So, let me quit wasting time. Fox surprisingly gets out of an arm lock attempt early, but cannot get out of Zack Sabre's headlock attempt. He then, let me get this closer to me. He is able to get a cover once he hits a corner drop kick and dive to the outside. Once back in the ring, Zack Sabre Jr. then targets AR Fox's arm, and even though he still fights back, including a DDT in the ropes and hitting the low main pain, as well as another dive to the outside. While it starts off with a roll-up attempt, Zack Sabre Jr. wins the matchup with a stretch muffler, which, I'm going to be honest, I was like, this is a long matchup. I will admit, a lot of my notes from this match is what happened after the match, but I will say, like I said, matchup almost went to the TV time limit, and it was a very good back-and-forth matchup. And if you know me, I enjoy the matchups that are back and forth, and you don't know who the hell is going to win. Now, Sabre wins this match with the stretch muffler, like I said. And after the match, he mentions that he is the best champion, and he is the most active television champion. And not too long after, the Ring of Honor television champion, Samoa Joe, comes out, and he wants to test Zack Sabre Jr.'s theory, and there's nobody really in the way of that happening, and he wants to do that matchup right now. Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels then come out, and Daniels, who has been on this chase for glory and championships, is trying to get Sydal involved with this, and Sydal has never been a television champion, whether that be the New Japan World Champion or World Television Champion, and there's only been one, Zack Sabre Jr., or he's never been Ring of Honor World Television Champion, which is Samoa Joe. So a matchup has been set for a future date. Samoa Joe and Zack Sabre Jr. versus Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal. And if Sydal and Daniels win, Sydal and Daniels will get TV title opportunities. At least Sydal, because that's what the majority of the promo was. But it was very confusing. But seeing Zack Sabre Jr. and Samoa Joe in a ring together is very intriguing, to say the least. Next matchup. This is building from something that happened last week. The Gates of Agony versus Dalton Castle and The Boy. This happens every freaking time. So, on the graphic, it says Dalton Castle and The Boy. And last week I mentioned, I believe it was Brent that was taken out. So Brandon is available. but every time on commentary, they always say their names together, and so you never know which one of those are taken out. And even tonight, they mentioned Brent, and then they said Brandon, so I don't know. I am 99% sure Brandon is the one that was involved in this matchup. Even though, on the graphic, it just said the boy. Would have made my life a little bit easier. You put his name on the graphic. But that is besides the point. So, again, going back to last week, it was supposed to be the Embassy versus Dalton Castle and the boys in a 6-man tag team match. But Brent was taken out and hospitalized, so that match got canceled, and the Embassy was in another match. But now, again, leading up to this is now a 2-on-2 match of the Gates of Agony versus Dalton Castle and Brandon Tate. Because again, I wrote in my notes, Brandon Tate or Brent. Just to avoid the confusion, I'm going to say the boy. And there's a nice little homage tease in the entrance where Dalton Castle normally is used to having both boys out there. He only had, it was very weird. He did have a set of boys. He had 5 boys out there, and he had Brandon. And again, you're probably hella confused because I'm just throwing so many names out there. But it was a nice little homage because he was missing a boy, and he was very disturbed about it, and he was fed up, and he starts the match off a House of Fire. But for some reason, he quickly tags out, and the Gates of Agony dominate the hell out of the boy for a great majority of this matchup until he is able to tag Castle back in. Now, while Castle is a House of Fire, what is the saying? Castle is very dominant in his time in the ring. Prince Nana gets on the apron and distracts him. And it's an extra distraction because he has the mask of the boy that is hurt. And he gets thrown to the outside, and the Gates of Agony win the matchup for their team. However, they pin the boy, who Ian Riccaboni and Dalton Castle at ringside mentioned he was the legal man. Dalton Castle was the legal man. So, will this match be to be continued? Question mark. Possibly, but we might just see it in 6-man tag team action once the other boy is healthy. Next matchup. I don't know how to say this now. I'm pretty sure it's Scaff, who, spoiler alert, it's not a match very long. Ricky Gibson and Eddie Pearl versus Shane Taylor, Anthony Henry, and J.D. Drake, the Workhorsemen. The match is mainly the Workhorsemen working on Pearl and Gibson, which all 4 of those guys are involved in their own tag teams, so they mentioned that on commentary, and it mainly leads to Pearl and Gibson getting beat up by the Workhorsemen until they are able to tag in Scaff, who the Workhorsemen, then tag in Shane Taylor, who wins the matchup for his team once he hits a package pile driver. Dun, 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 dun. In the back, we got a promo from the Righteous, and they are talking about Stu Grayson, who interrupts their promo, and he is fed up with them, but he is also fed up with his members of the Dark Order who interrupt the promo also as well backstage, and he's tired of them. He's tired of them talking for him, and he said he's going to give the Righteous one chance. So, for now, Stu Grayson is a member of the Righteous. Next matchup, Mercedes Martinez versus Ashley Demboys. And this is Mercedes Martinez's first matchup from injury. I believe her last matchup was at Final Battle in a losing effort to Athena, in which started Athena's very good women's title reign in Ring of Honor. Ashley immediately grounds Martinez in the matchup, but Martinez is quickly able to get up. Demboys fights back with lots of forearms and a Death Valley driver, but Martinez is able to win a return bout with a curb stomp that was followed by a sleeper hold. And now it is time for the main event. Fight Without Honor. The Kingdom versus Darius Martin and Action Andretti. Another rivalry that started at Final Battle as the Kingdom lost to Top Flight on a match on the 0 hour. I was going to say the first match. I don't think. It might have actually been the first match. That's beside the point. This feud started at Final Battle and has continued on, mainly with the Kingdom not being happy with Top Flight because the Kingdom made Ring of Honor. They were made in Ring of Honor, and they felt that Top Flight did not respect Ring of Honor, and the Kingdom even took credit for Dante Martin's injury that took place at Super Court of Honor, and then Action Andretti stepped up to be Darius's partner, and maybe, I'm 99% sure this rivalry has concluded after this matchup, which is a fight without honor, which was very weird. They said this was the 13th fight without honor. Now, I didn't fact check it, but I felt like there had been a lot more. So, who knows? This was a very good matchup. Darius attacks the Kingdom from behind, which I know I just said is a very good matchup, but this is a hell of a weird start to the match because the Kingdom come out first, and then Action Andretti comes onto the stage. I thought it was a kendo stick. They said it was a pipe. It was a very long pipe, if that was the case. Anyways, the Kingdom go up to him. They're like, oh, whoa. And then Darius is like, Action Andretti is the one on the stage. And the Kingdom had to go to the stage. And Darius Martin's able to attack them from the behind. And the match starts on the stage. The ring is then filled with a trash can and steel chairs, which the steel chairs are used against the OGK. And Taven at one point has the trash can put over his head, and Action Andretti and Darius Martin take turns on hitting him with different objects. Maria then stops a ladder from coming into the ring as Action Andretti, and she gets in the way of Action Andretti and Darius Martin putting the ladder in the ring. And then the Kingdom target their opponents 2-on-1 style until Taven dives onto the outside, accidentally hitting Bennett. But once they get back in the ring, they do this was a very dangerous spot. So they have 4 chairs set up, and Bennett is on the chairs, ready to do. He has him in a pile driver position, and Taven is going to go off the top rope. And I don't know the way they're trying to do it, but long story short, that before Taven can even get to it, the pile driver is hit, and he is falling backwards and landed nowhere near the chair. So he did it off the chairs. Maybe that was the intent, but it was dangerous nonetheless. Dun 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 dun. What happened next? Andretti, however, does a springboard 450 onto a table, onto Matt Taven. And then Bennett follows it up with doing a Spicoli driver onto a table, onto Action Andretti. Everyone spills to the outside, and this is when Maria gets too close to the action and gets hit accidentally by her husband. And then Taven gets spawnbustered onto a chair. And then the ladder that was mentioned earlier comes into play as Action Andretti climbs to the top of it to hit a doomsday device onto Bennett to win it for his team. And the show ends as the Kingdom finally show their respect and shake the hands of Action Andretti and Darius Martin. Like I said, I'm very tired, so that is why I was reading a lot of this crap very slowly. We're 18 minutes in. But, again, it was another loaded episode, a very good episode. I don't really have anything to complain about with this episode. And I think I'm very intrigued by the next couple of episodes. They did announce a future matchup to take place that was teased a while back. Katsuyori Shibata versus Alex Coughlin for the Pure Championship. So it'll be intriguing to see when that matchup takes place. Again, I said it a couple times already. I'm going to say it one last time. A very good episode. A lot of stuff happened on it, and I can't wait to see the next episode. I know this is my first video in a week. I don't know. I didn't really feel like talking and doing a video, and I'm very lazy. But y'all know me. I'm very dedicated to doing these ROH TV reviews, and hopefully I continue to do them. And hopefully you continue to watch. Hopefully you continue to stay safe. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.